Let me know if you think this is crazy. Anthony Davis by now should have at least one Defensive Player of the Year award in his career. It's unfortunate that he is easily one of the best defensive players we've seen in quite a while, and he still hasn't won that. And there are a few other guys that I think are deserving of them that haven't won them, but unfortunately, some guys have been snagging them all. I'm looking at you, Rudy Gobert, but ironically, I'm not as hard on him as a lot of people are, so I will say that. Anyways, this is the Basketball Bulletin where me and my guy Trevor cover a ton of NBA content all year long, year-round, league-wide. So make sure you subscribe for more content like this and post down below what your hot takes are in relation to the DPOY. How do you value it? What do you think about Rudy Gobert winning 4 of them in the last 6 or 7 years, whatever it's been? I think the last 9 years, whatever it's been. What do you think about that? Do you think AD should have won one? And if you do think he should have won one, which year do you think it was? So that being said, just to answer my own question, and I don't want to disparage JJJ in any way, shape, or form, but I do think that was the year that I thought AD really should have won it. I thought he was phenomenal on the defensive side of the court. Now, it is a regular season award, but that being said, in the playoffs, when they matched up especially, but in the playoffs that year, that 2023 playoff run, AD was ridiculous on the defensive side of the ball, man. He was just an insane defensive stalwart, producing a ton of different, whatever it is, right? Whether it's blocks, steals, deflections, rim protection, it didn't matter. Contested shots that aren't blocks, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, with defense, it's so hard to contextualize, right? How do you truly measure how valuable a player is on that side of the court? Is it defensive win shares? Is it box minus? Is it plus minus? Is it, what metric are you using? How are you doing? Is it some amalgamation of a bunch of different metrics? I think that's kind of where it is, where it's like, how do you truly say how good somebody is on the defensive side of the ball? What do you guys think the primary method is? There are some stats that are favored over others, as you would imagine, but I don't know that that does it justice. And when it comes to these guys, I think there's 128 or so guys that are voting for these awards from different media groups, and there's a lot of different votes to go around. So when it comes to these guys, I wonder how much of it is bias, how much of it is eye test, how much of it is you got to see this player throughout the year or you didn't get to see this player throughout the year as much. But regardless, I'll tell you one thing. I think that was the year, not to disparage Triple J. I think he was obviously an amazing defender, still is when he's out there. But I'll tell you one thing. They really like Wemby. It does not matter what you look at, where you look at. So when we talk about this year specifically, it seems like Wemby is the odds-on favorite, and it's not really close. It doesn't matter what you look at, whether it's betting odds, whether it's other media outlets, it's Wemby. And so for me, in my opinion, if Anthony Davis is going to win it, I think that he actually really needs good team success. That may not see that argument is kind of funny to me, because that's the thing about Wemby is I'm not expecting the Spurs to be great this year, right? Unless Wemby is just transcendent. He's clearly the best player in the league. He's going to push them. I think the West is so tough that they're still a couple years away, in my opinion, from truly being there despite having Wemby. And so if you're going to give him the award with them being a, I don't know, 11th seed or 12th seed, whatever it is, then okay, whatever, right? I can't say anything about that. But while it is an individual award, right? It should be an individual award. We've seen other players win this award based on team success. Looking at you, Marcus Smart. Great defender, but I didn't think he was the best defender in the league that year. So that being said, it's kind of weird. But that also, on a larger topic, is some of the issue with these awards in general. What are these awards for? Are they team success? Are they an amalgamation of team success and individual success? Like, what are these awards truly for? It feels like these awards can get redefined every single year based on the criteria that they're trying to push out there to give these awards, whether it's MVP, whatever it is. And so I think with AD, though, back to my point, I think the Lakers need to be a top 4 seed probably for him to win it. So that in and of itself, given how the West is so tough, that's a tough accomplishment for him. But for the record, if the Lakers are a top 4 seed, AD probably is also in MVP contention. So that just means it will be a crazy year for him and for the team. So in my opinion, I think that's probably the best shot. I could see him winning it if they're like the 6th seed. I don't know if they win it or if he wins it any lower than that. Also because it seems like they don't really favor Anthony Davis in a lot of different stuff. You go around the league and AD kind of winds up being the guy that they don't really consider as a top 2, top 3 defender, the same way Lakers fans or people that watch him more often would, right? So the thing with AD also is he's such a valuable defensive player in that there's not really anything on the basketball court defensively you can't get value from him in terms of doing. Well, Gobert is a generational rim protector. He's not anywhere near as good as Anthony Davis as a playmaker on the perimeter defensively. And so that is more or less where it looks like you should maybe skew a different way. Even Bam, great rim protector, not as good as the other two guys in my opinion. Maybe there's some numbers that back him up a little bit more there, but he is a great perimeter defender and playmaker out there too. So like that's also where you kind of have this separation taking place. And then not to mention the fact that there are literal guards and wings that are up there in this conversation too, like Drew Holiday, Herb Jones. There's guys that you could consider that aren't literally big guys, right? And so Wemby is an interesting one because he seems to be the odds on GOAT defender potential. He seems to be the odds on guy because he is the guy that they think can put all of that together at a clip we haven't seen before. Like Anthony Davis plus, like, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think that they think Wemby will wind up being. And I'm here for it, first and foremost. I don't disagree. I think Wemby does have, as it says here, GOAT defender potential. I think he could be somebody like that. And the thing with Anthony Davis is I actually really want him to win it this year, even though I set the bar pretty high for accomplishing it based on what I think they'll do, right? I do want him to win it because I think that Wemby is already being pushed so heavily that Wemby is going to be a guy, his rise will be meteoric. And so when it comes to winning these awards, I think he's going to start snatching these up pretty fast. AD is also moving into, the last third of his career at this point. He's over 30 now, or about 30, over 30, whatever it is. He's in the last third of his career. And so I think Wemby, with his ascension, will just start snagging all these up. So I kind of really want AD to try to get it now. By the way, if you didn't know, Wemby finished, as it says here, second in DPOY voting as a rookie. Again, and I don't mean this to disparage Wemby. He could be the best defender in the world. He probably already is. I just think that the criteria shifts a decent bit. Like I said with Marcus Smart, a little bit with JJ, I think that the criteria can shift. And so if it's going to just be who's the best defender, give them their award. I don't care about any other factors. Who's the best defender when they're out there? How is their team looking? If that's the criteria, like I said, I think Wemby just wins it. He just does. Now, the reason why Gobert won it is interesting because Gobert is somebody that a lot of people like to talk about in a very negative way. And I can understand that. You know what it is? I think it's because he won 4 of them. Like if he won 2 of them, I don't think people would really be on his case like that. But it's because he's won 4 of them, right? So let's just read what they have to say here about Gobert specifically. Gobert joined Ben and Dikembe Mutombo, rest in peace, as the only people to won 4 of them. So he is basically already in GOAT defender, situation right there because he's won 4 DPOIs. That's pretty unmatched, right? He's anchored top 10 defenses in 8 of the last 9 seasons, including the best defense in the league last season. Now, hard to see why he would win it. If, again, like I said, anchoring the best defense, team success, you're making it happen too. So that's part of it too. Now, he got blasted for his inability to defend Luka on a game-winning shot. That being said, that was still a contested shot. It's not like he got absolutely flambéed, at least in my opinion. His rim protection is on another planet and even better than Wemby's last season. Opponent shot 13%, basically 14% worse within 6 feet of the basket when he was anchoring the paint, per crafted NBA ranking in the 98th percentile of players. Teams take away more mid-range shots when he's on the floor rather than trying to shoot over him. So basically, what they're saying here is you're going to score much less at the rim and you're not even going to bother taking the mid-range shot. Basically, you're gonna stay away from this guy because he's gonna contest it and it's not gonna go in probably. Gobert is statistically one of the best isolation defenders in the league, also backed by film despite getting roasted in a few high-profile situations. He ranked 90th percentile in post defense as well. Beyond the numbers, the highlights speak for themselves. He may not be the most fluid athlete, but the sheer length of the 7'9" wingspan makes it supremely difficult to get a good shot off. So he I think some of that too is that he is who he is, and he's not a fan favorite type of player for a lot of guys out there. So that's also why he is heavily criticized. But I wanted to highlight him because he was last year's winner, right? This specific note has him, a couple spots above AD and then Bam sandwiched in between. So we're gonna just kind of bypass the Bam part of it because I think Bam is somebody that's up there as well. In terms of AD, though, AD has 178 blocks last season, which were the 4th highest numbers in the league. He protects the paint as well as anyone due to his great timing, leaping, and 7'6" wingspan. He's also better than most of the Lakers guards at guarding in space. That's hilarious. He moves his hips and feet well, mirroring the elite perimeter scorers in the league. He's cleaned up mistakes of weaker Lakers teammates all seasons, and he's been a great defensive rebounder, finishing third in the league last year in that statistic. While Davis has never won a DPOY, he's widely regarded as one of the NBA's best defenders, even getting Bam Adebayo's vote for the award last season. He does everything on that end of the floor, serving as an elite pick and roll defender as well. So like they kept it short and sweet. They didn't have to defend AD as much, but AD has finished 4 times in the top 5 for DPOY. Led the league 3 times in blocks, 5 times all defensive player. He should clearly have one of these by now. But I think that part of it too is his availability. There have been seasons where he just flat out hadn't been available, but quietly over the last few seasons, he's been largely available for the team. And so I shuffle back to the JJJ thing. What was the circumstance there? Did JJ play like a couple more games than AD, but less minutes overall? Was that what happened that year? But the point is that they were both equivalent in terms of availability that year. And so I think that that should have been the year if you really want to highlight one. Now, the argument for AD last year or any other year, especially on the Lakers roster over the last few years here, despite availability, you're not really talking about that. But last year, individually, specifically, is that, like they said here, he is anchoring a defense where the perimeter players are not able to really defend all that well. And so while the Lakers wind up grading out towards the middle in defense, I think they were 17th in defense last year. They had a weird season where they started the year amazingly on defense and then won the in-season tournament, then had a floundering 13 or so game stretch and then became an elite offense. For the last 46 games of the year, they were a top 3 offense, which is crazy. But regardless, AD does anchor a defense where you've got D'Lo and AR, who AR tries, D'Lo, he tries a little bit too, but he's just not athletic enough to keep up with guys. But regardless, they're both not great defensive players. And so you've got AD back there, backline, protecting the rim for these guys and making up for all their mistakes. LeBron sometimes doesn't try that much. It is what it is. I'm sorry. We gotta say it. But, and then Rudy sometimes can get beat too. So AD is the guy back there. So I think that that's also another way you can contextualize how good a defensive player is. Like I said, what's the criteria? Because in this case, AD is cleaning up the mistakes of everyone else. Now, all the guys in this list are doing that to a degree, right? But I think that the workload for AD on the defensive side, due to the roster construction, makes it to where he has to probably shoulder that a bit more. So I want to leave it up to you guys. What do you guys think needs to happen for AD to win it? Like I said, it was kind of a long-winded video, but like I said in the beginning, I think he has to have a top record. Because if it wasn't clear, I think Wemby is here. I didn't realize he was second last year. I think Wemby is definitely winning this award then. And here's the thing. There's a lot of things working against AD, specifically AD. Well, Rudy Gobert too, I guess a little bit. But I really genuinely think that Wemby is the guy that if they can, they will give him the award. They will just poof. Not to say he doesn't earn it, not to say he doesn't deserve it, but I think that he is a fan favorite already. So you combine his talent, his ability, his skill set with the fan favorite nature, he's getting it, baby. So let me know what you guys think about AD, what he needs to do, how it can be accomplished. Post it down below. Thank you all for tuning into the Basketball Bulletin. If you enjoyed this video, you will definitely enjoy the Lakers video I covered earlier today. Right there.